Hi everybody, welcome here, Brady from VWX. If you are rewatching the stream, I break down the weather, and I'm going to be breaking down the upcoming winter weather change that's going to be going on in the pattern here. So come on in. It's going to be fun. We're going to break down. There's a lot of exciting stuff going on. I know I'm kind of rambling, just very excited for what's in store. And yes, trust me, I know a thing or two. I'm not a genius, but I do know a thing or two about the weather. So try to break it down for y'all as good as I can. Let's do it here. Let's see, how are we doing, everybody? How are we doing? Let me pull up the chat here for you all. We have a new mic, so let's see. See if we can get this working here. Let me pull up the chat again. Go live chat. Dun, dun, dun. How are we doing, everybody? Everyone, hearts on. You should be able to chat now. And let me see. Tom's Bomb Channel. How are we doing? Kenneth, how are we doing, my man? How does the audio quality sound, guys? Does it sound any different, or is it about the same? New mic. Hopefully, let's see if this. I don't know if that does anything or not, but I do have new buttons. I have this whole mic set up now, and we got. I don't know if this is playing any sound effects or not. Maybe it isn't. We'll have to play and tinker with it after. But yes, very excited. I got a new mic for Christmas, and we're growing here. Got 438 subscribers on YouTube here, and on X, we're gonna continue to grind away, break down storms, and have fun there. So it is going to be a blast this upcoming winter pattern here. So excited for what's gonna be happening here. Matthew, how are we doing, my man? How are we doing? Yes, that was a crazy ensemble main that we have from the 18Z GFS. Yes, we are. We got a lot going on. It hasn't quite happened yet, but this more than an exciting pattern is taking place for sure here. So it's going to make me sign back in here. There we go. Okay. Sign in here as well then. What's up, everybody? How we doing? We'll get started here in a second. Look at that. Make sure you can't see my password. I don't gotta worry about that. Again, here on YouTube, hey, everybody hit that like. Let's get this thing popping, baby. Get everybody in here. Again, we're breaking down the upcoming pattern change, so more than excited to talk about what's going to be going on here. No, it's a little small. Is that just me? Let's get this a little bit bigger. There we go. That's a little bit. So let's keep it like that. I know a lot of you guys got smaller screens, so alrighty, let's get cooking here. Let's ride Broncos country. Let's ride. Alrighty, we get it for this too. We just yes, yep. Okay, yeah, we chilling. What's up, everybody? How are we doing? Let's get right to it. I'm sorry, I'm excited. My mind is all over the place. So we're going to start off, and we're going to talk about first. There is a storm to talk about first in the shorter term. We're in tracking distance. It's this little guy right here, and it is mainly a rainmaker. But what it does do on the backside, if you play here, so notice it's mainly a rainmaker, but it will switch because as we got to break this down first, because it's important. This kind of sets the stage for our pattern here. So this storm is pretty important in how this plays out. This is very important. So Western Mass, how are we doing? CB19, how are we doing? D. Doramus, how are we doing? Ethan M, how are we doing? Carl, how are we doing? Welcome to have you all here. Keep hitting that like, baby. It's greatly appreciated if you do. But you guys just being here is really what means a lot. So it's amazing how we've been growing this. But yes, we do have this system. But notice CR5. Oh, the pen tool. How could I forget? I felt like I was forgetting something. And indeed, I was. Sorry, it'll take 2 seconds to get the pen. But we can see our 540 line still kind of behind our main system. And so it's going to take a second here for the cold air to get in. We're going to be a little bit warmer. We're going to be above average this week. So if you do like the warmer temps, and you're not a fan, kind of take this in, enjoy it. This will be your kind of last really good opportunity here to be able to kind of enjoy those colder, those warmer temperatures before the cold comes in. Sadly for people that don't enjoy that, I'm neither or. I don't care either or, but it depends on your preference. But for me, it's this 540 line breaking this down here. See how we're still behind our main energy, but you can see it comes closer and comes in behind the main system. Actually, we can break down the OZ for this system, believe it or not. And so this comes in here, and in behind it, that 540 line is a good indicator of how our cold air, especially through the upper levels, moves in. And that 540 line collapses. And on the backside here, then you have to start watching this area for potentially some interior snow that starts breaking out, especially Maine, where the energy is still overhead. Upper level energy, again, here at 500 millibars, we're looking here in the upper levels of the atmosphere. And so when I break this down, I notice that it's not in time to be able to get a storm, even though it's actually a pretty good setup in theory for the low pressure and the energy, but that there's not really enough cold air in place to be able to lock the system down and be able to produce snow. So this turns into an interior snow threat on the backside, and then within that, as more upper level energy still needs to work its way through, we do see a pretty significant lake effect event potentially set up here off Ontario and Erie. And this sets kind of the stage a little bit for at least upstate New York into that wintry pattern. You can notice on the P-type map, you can see the lakes firing here. There's those snow bands that get going there, and possibly a multi-day lake effect event later this week across Lake Erie and Lake Ontario. So, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York will all have to keep an eye on that. And even some light snow potentially moving through for some less interior, but still kind of, possibly keep an eye on some light snow in this area, potentially on the backside here, kind of still interior, but, not completely. So that's kind of the idea there that, not in time, but you can see this does become a pretty strong low pressure system. Maine's able to get some snow from the main system, no pun intended. And after that, notice what happens. Notice what happens after this. We go to zoom out here. I want to zoom out a little bit more to North America. We'll slide out and we look at upper air temperatures. This kind of sets the stage. Here we'll go to 850. Look what happens. Our cold air comes in just behind this system, and this sets the stage. So more upper level energy is actually going to work its way through. Once upon a time ago, it appeared maybe this fourth time frame. I was keeping an eye on it, but it kind of what happened here with this system, really kind of all this upper level energy is going to get caught into the tail end of this system. That's going to be mostly rain, and what we're going to see here is this is going to be pretty progressive, and we'll kind of slide out on the back edge. If we go back quickly to 500 millibar vort here, and we slide, there we go. And we notice here at 500 vort, see how the system kind of slides into the tail end back here. Maybe some snow, maybe some light snow breaks out here across some of the area, maybe a little bit. You could keep an eye on that, but for the most part, likely too progressive for anything even notable, let alone significant with this system here. So that's kind of the idea with that. And then really now we're setting the stage, right? We are cold air in place now. We go to upper 5, we go to upper air, we go to temperature, and we go to 850s. Notice we have real deep Arctic cold air to work with. True cold air, the coldest air yet. Notice these 850s, and the source of where our cold air is coming from here now. Look where we're getting it. Boom, this cold air coming down from Canada, and we're accessing it with ease now. Notice you can see this. You can pretty much see the Western Ridge developing here over the Pacific, and you can see where the cold air kind of sets in on the other side of that, and this really sets the stage. Now we have Arctic cold air to work with. You can see the freezing line all across here. And you can see a storm system actually during this time frame as well in that 850 freezing line. Again, 850 still in the lower levels, but below, still in the lower levels, but above the surface still. 925 is below 850 as well. We look at those, you can see still very much still cold with the system, and a lot of cold air then to work with. And then behind that system, we start looking at even more cold air. So that's kind of the general idea as we slide in here. But notice 500 heights. We've been seeing a lot of these posts over the past couple days. I've been tweeting a fair amount of them on X for sure. I can't. Definitely sharing a good amount of those. Again, a lot of those are just some excitement. Some are sincere. Some are kind of a mix of both. Of being like, oh my God, look, winter's happening, and some analysis. I feel like it's relatively clear which are which. What happened to my audio? Oh no. Let me. Nothing should have changed. I know. I don't know why. Is the audio fine now? Priya says good now. I wouldn't understand why, to be honest. I do have a new mic configuration here. Was that possibly just it? Let me make sure we're good now with the audio. Okay. I didn't really touch anything there, so that was a little confusing for me, to be honest. Let me make sure everything's all good and plugged in. All right. Where did I leave off here? So as I was saying, is we have a lot of upper level energy that still needs to kind of be sorted out here. And the problem, kind of run into with a lot of the operational model runs is, thank you, Brandon, appreciate it, is that there's just a lot of convection that needs to be sorted out, and models will latch on areas. We talk about convective feedback issues within a few days. We'll imagine what they're going to do, weeks out in advance. So there's just a lot of problems that just need to work themselves out. Still, New City, welcome. There's just a lot of problems that still need to work themselves out, and we're still not quite clear on exactly how this is going to play out. So we just got to be patient a little bit, kind of with how this plays out, because there's going to be a lot of opportunities, I think, but you just have to be patient with how this turns out. And just because you miss one, it doesn't mean you thought my phone died. No, it didn't. I guess my audio was off for a second, but you just got to be patient with this general setup. Because there's a lot, it's really messy and it's a lot for models to handle, especially now we start involving a lobe, the polar vortex starts getting involved. There's a different variation on every run that's going to happen with that, as you've seen already. So there's just a lot that needs to be figured out. And so that's why patience is key, and it's going to be necessary for this upcoming. That I want to get across here is that you may not get hit on every one, but all you got to get hit is one for you to be happy here on this pattern, I think. But I think there's opportunities for potentially multiple hits over the course of the next few weeks here. I think models are starting to kind of hit onto it, but some of the end of these ensemble runs are more than intriguing as well. If I go back to the GEFS, let's slide now. The GEFS ensemble, and this 18Z run was, I mean, one of the best long range ensembles runs I think I've seen in years, potentially. Where if I slide back to 18Z here, what you'll notice is as I play this out, that's, you can see that's that maybe some light snow that moves through with associated with that trough, still likely too progressive at that point. And now our cold air is set in stage. Look what happens now at this point. We have a negative NAO in place. Clearly, we have a Canadian block. We have a tall western ridge and kind of connecting over place. So that's locking in systems here now to come over this western ridge, and we have a bit of a 50-50 low setup even now. We actually even have a low pressure out here as well. So we have a ton of positive factors that are working in our favor here now. So that's a positive thing. We have a better roster to work with. I like using that analogy. When you have a better team, it is All right, what about now? The audio back now? Are we back? Is the audio back now? It says it should be. Okay. I guess restream was kind of getting. Oh no, minimize. I guess restream was getting kind of overloaded here. Was struggling a little bit. Okay. Okay, we back. All right, everything should still be there. Okay. So I kind of sorry, technical difficulties made me lose my. We really don't need that to happen again now. So, all right, we're chilling. Let's get back here. Let's get back here. It's amazing. We had a ton of people. We still have a ton of people in here too. I appreciate everybody that's in here right now. Very much appreciated for sure. Let's get back to it. So as I was breaking this down here, blue is our troughing. We do not have cold air quite in place yet, but we're going to see that. And blue does not guarantee cold air, but our cold air, as we mentioned, starts coming in behind. And now we see troughing start to build in again behind the system. And we start looking at, I think, our first opportunity around January 6th to 8th, kind of, for our first potential storm to track. Again, I wouldn't favor still a massive ceiling as potentially what we're looking at behind that. But the general idea is in behind this system here, we start to see these height lines build back, and we start to see a consistent western ridge develop and a consistent negative NAO. And look at the polar vortex even starting. We're starting to tap into that as well. So that's what really starts to get me excited is now we're starting to potentially access the colder air down the line. We have a tall western ridge in place. And now the general, look at the average 540 line even too. A big, oh no, it's way too small. So the average 540 line drives like this. And now that's the general flow. And that gets me really excited. Anytime we start seeing troughing build and get very wavy, that always tends to get me excited because especially in the wintertime, that tends to mean we're going to access cold air. So now we have a block here. We have that negative NEO in place. We have these height lines building here in the western U.S. called PNA out there, a positive PNA that develops some teleconnections or MJOs continuing to get favorable. So we've been talking about it now for a little bit that conditions getting more and more favorable in January. We've been kind of talking about it for weeks now that there will be favorable potential January pattern. And we're starting to see that develop here. And it's getting me very excited. And then after that, we start looking at another opportunity to potentially come as well. But if I slide back to our GFS and we slide back to current OZ, I still haven't really looked at this yet. As you all know, I'm kind of streaming at the moment. So unless I'm looking at the model at the moment, that I'm not. Kind of put it that way. But in behind this system here, again, our cold air starts coming through. Now we have it to access. And this is the time frame I'm watching here, January 6th. It might be a weaker. There may not be a lot to it. But then in behind it, it's kind of still hard to tell, right? Because if this gets sucked into the flow, then you have a storm behind it that you potentially work in. So I'm really having, so it could be like a January 6th to 8th potentially where, you know, if this energy gets more out ahead, we see a little bit, we see this amplified more, than maybe this wave turns into it. So it's kind of hard to say when exactly we're going to be getting the first significant storm. But the general idea is we start looking at this time frame here for a big winter storm, and there's multiple opportunities that come in behind it. I think we're looking at two opportunities. I think we're kind of looking at a 6 to 8 time frame potentially, and it would kind of be either let me go back. Slide. Go. It would kind of either be this wave or this wave, or a mix of both. And you can see that this is what I'm talking about on models. It's making it really hard. I'm having trouble highlighting exact storm threats right now. And a lot of people, I think, should be as well, exact storm threats. And if they are, I wouldn't be all that confident in what's being preached right now, because there's just so much upper level energy for models to try to figure out right now that it's making it really difficult for them to forecast. But if we go with just the 500 height anomaly here, and I slide back to North America, notice this general idea where kind of a 50-50 low sets up a big western ridge in a Greenland block out here starts to make things interesting with a direct connection here to the polar vortex. So we have clear Arctic air in place, and we have troughing setting up over the central and eastern U.S. You can see still positively tilted at this point, but the idea is we get we really want to tilted trough somewhere out here in the Ohio Valley a lot of times, typically to get a northeast snowstorm, kind of more of a widespread, especially bigger systems, because they can kind of take some time to be able to get together. And so we're looking at opportunities here for several eastern U.S. snowstorms. I think in this opportunity within this wave of systems that come through here, we can look at the European ensembles too. This is 18Z, so I'm going to slide back to 12Z. Again, the EPS was very loaded too. That general idea, notice that trough builds back, and in this time frame here, we start looking at January 7th-ish, January 6th, January 8th, kind of this general idea snowstorm. And look what builds in. Those height lines build right back in behind it. But here's what I was talking about towards the end of the pattern here on what's showing, not the end of the pattern. I think, look what happens. Notice our height lines start building in more. Our height lines start building in. So now we have a western ridge. We have a negative NAO with basically this ridge extending all out through Canada, and we have direct access to the polar vortex. There's only one way. There's only one for the storms to go at this point, and it's to slow down and get trapped. And kind of a storm that, it's still hard to say. This could come closer. It's hard to say exactly, depending on where exactly the blocking sets up. But you'll see a lot of storms underestimate the block, and we already saw it with this most recent system, and you're going to see this system too. Notice this, we have consistent blocking, especially for trapping our system in here. It's gonna, and we have a big western trough. What we're doing is we're allowing a wavy jet stream pattern for storms to dig, and now also ride up again. Can't completely cut here because of the block in place, and they can't just get suppressed and slide out to sea because you have ridging building back in here, especially now. And then at that point, it's just about where the energy consolidates and how it does. So I think the opportunity for you could still get a blockbuster. I think you could still get a blockbuster snowstorm, before this time frame, but that January 9th to 13th is what I'm kind of highlighting. There could be one multiple in that time frame. It's so hard to pinpoint exactly how exactly that were to play out. There would be one or multiple in that time frame, but the general idea is there's going to be, I think, higher ceiling events start to take place, and especially then even after this, because there's nothing about this that suggests this pattern is all of a sudden going to stop. Go look at the GFS on the GFS ensemble now. If we go back to 18Z here, again, there is nothing about this pattern here that suggests we're gonna be stopping this anytime soon. I mean, look at that consistency here. A little bit different variation. This slightly different, but that general theme here again, where height lines constantly still building with kind of trapping in a system here potentially. So this is a little bit, I would say a little bit, but that's just that specific look on that ensemble run. So that's the general idea here. As we're sliding, we're continuing to potentially have a consistent pattern where we have cold air in place. We have, we'll go 1, we have cold air in place, 2, we have a consistent negative NAO. We have consistent block eastern part of Canada. and we have a all western ridge developing. That's a third real major positive factor I look at. And then you could add a fourth is the MO moving into phases 8 and 1 as well during this time frame. So that's kind of we can look at the OZ GFS again, but we'll look at it, but and there's going to continue to be a lot of major storms that show up now in the long range, especially. There's going to be a ton, and it's going to continue to go hectic. So that's just where, again, I feel like I'm going to thrive here because I know what I don't know what I'm doing completely, but I know my process of what I'm doing. I don't know the weather inside out. I know it well. I know it well enough to make these somewhat decent winter forecasts, but I'm not a genius. Okay, I just kind of have my process, and this for me always gets back to how to get a snowstorm for the day of. That's it. That's all that matters. How do you get a snowstorm to verify? And for me, then I start breaking down everything I break down, then goes into that lens from winter outlooks to long range patterns to medium range patterns, I guess you could say. Like this, we're kind of in a medium range pattern. And then for storm setups, it's the same thing. Long range, medium range. What is the kind of look then that could get us a snowstorm here in the eastern US? And especially for me, I live in the Northeast. That's kind of how, especially I've branched out some now, but that's kind of where it started. So that's the general idea here is how do we get a snowstorm? That's the lens. I'm not a professional meteorologist whatsoever. Again, I've taken meteorology classes before. I've studied this for years now, but I am far from an official degree meteorologist. I just try to study the stuff as hard as I can because I'm going to be doing it anyways. I'm sorry, it's not completely for you guys as much as I enjoy doing this, but it's really just for me. It's just that appreciation for the weather and trying to give the best forecast I can. Test myself as a forecaster and see it comes down to that root of loving snowstorms. Only a sicko is going to go back and watch Weather Channel coverage from 2015 blizzard. I am that sicko. I am a absolute snow sicko, proudly. And anybody that claims that they're not like a weather weenie on here is just lying. James Spann always talks about it. Famous Alabama meteorologist. I don't know why weather weenie got coined such a term of that. It's a proud statement. You should be able to claim that and proudly claim it. And that's kind of the idea. So we were going to look at that. I knew the GFS was going to, yes, when I saw this, I knew the GFS was going to bomb here. That frame was clear as day. That was going to bomb. So don't worry. I know the GFS, not to play my know-it-all card, but sorry to sound egotistical there, but yes, this is a good look. It's your 50-50 look right here with storm here. We talked about it, access to the polar vortex, a trough that's going to go neutral around the Ohio Valley, and wrap in all this convection and go bonkers, right? Because look at that, boom, upper level low consolidating. I actually don't look like how interior personally that is, but your block is in place, so it'll kind of shear off some of that stuff. But yes, again, another big. I would actually prefer for my location. This is for Hudson Valley, that'd be a bomb run. If we really want to break this down, we can certainly do that. Because why not? Why not? We're going to be doing this probably a lot, but I am going to break this down. But you gotta promise me to hit the like button on YouTube if you're in there right now. We got to keep expanding on YouTube. We're doing some great things on there right now, so I'm enjoying it. But again, this would be the idea here is notice, boom, you have your block in place, so it kind of prevents, again, notice how typically you'd see this energy, you'd want to ride all the way up, but your block in place kind of prevents that from happening. You have direct access to cold Arctic air out ahead of the system and in behind the system as well. You have a real strong upper level low. You have a deep digging trough. Look where your 540 line is. And you have a lot of convection. I suspect convective feedback issues on this run, which is hence why I say I would prefer this upper level low to be a little bit further east here. I would say this run would really benefit kind of this area a little bit more. The interior looks like a December 2020 carbon copy, to be honest, in terms of the upper level low energy look and placement. It's not the same system whatsoever. You didn't have the same look of a trough like we did here on that. But there are a couple similarities, I guess, in that sense. Definitely not the same system, but not even close really in terms of the upper level look. But that general idea of closing off that upper level low, then right, you can see where that is. I would prefer this to be about 75 miles east, personally living in New England, but that is a beautiful run for sure, obviously, even though the low pressure stacks so much right over the upper level low. But notice how that kind of comes in. So this would, kind of bomb out for a lot of people, especially in the interior, but close to the coast, because now we have so much cold air in place that we kind of wrap in, we wrap in this cold air completely to the center of the low pressure system, and what you get is you get a large snowstorm to take place here. So that's the idea. But notice this isn't exactly the same time frame as the last system. See that? See how this was kind of a little bit earlier here, so it's not exactly the same time frame. So that you see how the models are still kind of working themselves out in this time frame. It's a little bit difficult right now for models to perfectly identify when it's going to be happening, but clearly a massive step right there. That run would bomb out over. I would favor places like Pennsylvania, Hudson Valley, western central Mass, up into especially then Vermont, New Hampshire on that run for the most snow. But again, it's just a long range model run. We're still not quite close enough to be able to yes, Ryan, a bomb on the GFS again. But this is the thing, you're going to see a lot of bombs, because let's go back to the 18Z GEFS here. I have not remember seeing a long range mean as high as I've seen in years doing this. I'm sure there has been, but just I can't remember the last time. It hasn't been the last couple of years for sure. Hasn't been the last couple of years for sure. But this is, we go slide here to surface winter, we go to snow total, and we go to actually 10-day snow total. So this is the difference here too with this 10-day snow total. If we slide back to North America, zoomed out, and we go to, why does this not look quite the same? Because this is 12Z. There you go. Slide here to United States. We slide here to U.S. regions, Eastern U.S. And look at that. That's a crazy mean. That's a crazy. I know. So for those that are confused on how to interpret, as you hear it add possibly in the background for the music playing, I'm not paying for music. Sorry, I'm still cheap a little bit, but this is a crazy mean. This is a ridiculous, especially in New England in the Northeast. This is an absurd mean, and even into the Mid-Atlantic as well. So typically with like a regular snowstorm, if I were to look at this mean, I would be like, that's a really good mean for a snowstorm right there. In the shorter range, I would say that. This is long range. This is 10 days. This is like January 3rd to 13th, basically, is what this is, that kind of time frame. So this is like after that. This is like January 3rd to 13th, basically. This is a ridiculous mean. This means that almost all the ensemble members are showing snowstorms, and it's true. Like an 8-inch snowfall mean in New England is absolutely absurd. 4 inches in DC is ridiculous. 6 inches towards New York City and Hudson Valley is very high. A 2 to 4 inch widespread mean across North Carolina, North Georgia, Kentucky, Tennessee is an absurd mean. Like your 2-inch snowfall mean going down into Georgia basically is absurd, and that's 10 to 1, by the way, too. So here's another thing we have when you get cold air, guys. The great thing is you also means you're probably going to be above 10 to 1 a lot of times too. When you have real deep Arctic cold air to work with, you're going to be above 10 to 1 a lot of times. And so this is the exciting thing about these systems here is there's going to be deep Arctic cold air to work with. So if you get a system to slow down, your ceiling then turns into through the roof. Your ceiling turns into through the roof. So this is why I'm very intrigued, and I'm gonna say I would lean. I guess we can make it to call it January 8th. I guess we can call the first one 5 to 7. It's hard to, I mean, do you call it an 8th to 10th? Do you call it the 5 to 7th? It's hard to say. I'll say after, like January 8th and after is kind of the time frame I look at for when you could see a widespread, massive blockbuster. I like to call them like mini blockbusters sometimes, like those Southwest flow events that kind of slow down, but don't completely wrap up and bomb out. Something like what would you call it? But like a 10 to 15-inch snowstorm, kind of where it's like a max, where it's kind of like a widespread 6 to 12, and there's a swath of like 12 to 16 inches, kind of. That's I would kind of call that like a mini blockbuster, kind of. But an all-out blockbuster it's like a widespread 12 to 18, and you have a big area of like 18 to 24 plus. That's how I kind of see it in my mind. I know it's just semantics, but the kind of idea for like a significant blockbuster, we'll call it, like a major blockbuster, I think January 8th and on is kind of that time frame I look at, because that's when the pattern starts to slow down a little bit. And again, especially notice towards the end. And I think the opportunity for significant large snowstorms will persist beyond this as well. If we slide to 18Z, that's the GFS, the ensemble. Let me go to, let's see. Let me test out kind of I don't know if any of these buttons are doing anything. I'll have to figure them out after, but maybe you can hear some stuff, some sound effects potentially. I'll try to apply, maybe not. But if I go to, I want to pull up another tab on this, but we'll go to, it's fine. We can use tidbits, ensemble, GEFS, and we go to 18Z. Huh? Oh, okay, we're good. Again, those height lines start building in behind. We actually, I like the EPS better for my example. The height lines start still building in here. All right, you're scaring me, GFS. Notice how the height lines, again, continue to start building back in here through this. So we have, and the western ridge still in place with a negative NAO. So now we have a consistent pattern here for storms to ride along or off the East Coast and slow down. Like that's a consistent pattern for me that I look at. I'm like, oh my God, this is an incredibly exciting pattern. Like the potential for this to not only go for over the next couple weeks. Like I don't know if I see this being just a quick stretch here of like 10 days and out. Like this could be like a 2 to 3 week, like legitimate cold air pattern here, where there's going to be at least several opportunities for, at a minimum, significant snowstorms potentially, with potential for multiple blockbusters. Like that's kind of like that's kind of the potential here with this pattern that I'm seeing. And that's like the realistic, like there's maybe a ceiling even higher than that maybe, but like I've been trying to not get too high and just kind of see what's going to happen. I'm still will always be skeptical until storms themselves develop. I'm not going to fully buy in. The same way I track storms is going to continue to stay the same. But ladies and gentlemen, when I look at this pattern, I see a ceiling that is starting to become a very, very high for January. This is by far the best January pattern that I've seen. Now we had a great January 2022, especially in New England. But even beyond that, I mean, this in general might be the best pattern since 2021 that I've seen. And that was an all-out polar vortex like disruption, basically, where we had the Arctic outbreak that happened there. Basically, I think this is the best pattern I've seen since then, for especially for eastern U.S. in terms of snow and persistent cold air. I don't think I've seen as good of a pattern since then. It's just persistent opportunities. Look how the ridging continues to stay in place, with the troughing also continuing, just consistently building back here, meaning that we're having energy come across over this ridge basically, and continuing to storm after storm, energy profiles continuing to come across here and continue to work over the ridge, basically dig down. And when trying to amplify, you have this block in place preventing a cut, and you have a big enough ridge in place, but not so big that you're going to suppress systems completely. And then once these height lines even start building back in at the end here, this is the opportunity where it's like, oh my God, we might you might be locking in a system actually. Once ridging starts to really like build like that, it's just a consistent opportunities for snowstorms. For me, that's how I look at patterns. Like, how consistently can we get snowstorms out of this pattern? And for me, I see not only multiple, but at least several opportunities for potentially to get not clear cut like I'm seeing storm setups. We are seeing some. We're seeing a couple we've identified, but I think there's a potential for at least like several setups with this pattern to get snowstorms. And for me, that turns into I don't know how you would phrase it, but a really, really good pattern for cold and snow across the eastern U.S. and especially the mid-Atlantic and Northeast. Especially the mid-Atlantic and Northeast. The highest margin for error, I'd say, with this pattern, in my opinion, is the Northeast. Clearly, in my opinion, and the ensemble means kind of suggests that. And that's kind of the case always with most winters as well. It's not rocket science with that. But yes, so when you see runs like this, you're going to continue to see. So I hope you guys hold your horses a little bit, or don't, whatever. But just know you're going to see a lot of these. You're going to see a lot of these big bombs. And if you do see a bomb, the next energy that comes over it will be very suppressed. So you see how this gets pretty suppressed here. If this were weaker, then in behind it would be more amplified. The same idea applies. And then you would look at potentially after this. So maybe there'll be a bomb a couple days after what shows up here. But you can kind of look at it. The P-type map, people understand better. But notice still, potentially that's your light snow event you can maybe get then in the south. That's kind of your pattern here or that's your way you would do it. If you live in the south, is you get amplified, you get a real strong storm, a weaker system that kind of gets pretty suppressed here. So there will be multiple opportunities for people across the region to be able to cash in. So this is what gets me very, very intrigued about this pattern. Again, I would very much I have no problem saying that this is the best pattern that we've seen over the past. Just making sure that we're okay with audio. Sorry, I don't want a situation like that to happen again. But this is very much the best pattern that I've seen in years, potentially. I'm not ready to fully say that, but on paper, this is really near as they come for potential opportunities to get consistent cold and snow. That's in the eastern U.S. It can't be stated enough. This is nowhere near a cutter pattern, and this is not a full suppression pattern either. This is neither of those. I know I've seen some people mention that, but this is most definitely not a full-on suppression pattern. That doesn't mean one setup may not be full-on suppressed, or multiple even. That's not what I'm saying. But this is not a consistent suppression pattern. This is most definitely not that. You'll have cold air and you'll have favorable storm tracks to be able to get snow along the eastern seaboard as well. This region right here. I would most definitely favor this whole region right here. I would favor, and then within that, for the most potential, is in here. I would say, and you could even extend that back a little bit. For the most potential is for widespread, significant snowstorms. I would say, and that that GFS is kind of just an indicator of what we're looking at. This is this is one of those patterns where I would be more shocked if we didn't see snowstorm than if we did, and by a good amount. And actually, this might end up producing too. You might see back-to-back bombs here. You might see back-to-back bombs here. This might be get ready. Once you start seeing that turn happen, that dig in the trough, I mean, you're starting to tilt close to neutral now, and this is really starting to dig. This would be a dream scenario here. I'd get ready maybe for another bomb here on the GFS long range. This might just barely miss, but it could be an Eastern New England bomb. So yeah, this is again, I'd say this is as good a pattern that I've seen in a minute now. A good amount of time. So that's kind of, let's look at some of the numbers first, and then we'll start getting into all your guys' questions. I know you guys have a ton of questions, getting them over the past few days, so I appreciate it. But again, this general mean, I mean, you can look at the EPS as well, the odds. Look at that. I mean, that's the same idea. It's a widespread 5 to 8 inch. Virginia to Maine, a widespread 5 to 8 inch mean. That's absurd. Like this is long range. Like I can't. Like this is so long range. This is in a ridiculous ensemble mean. It means there's so many. What it means is, yes, there's some that don't show, but there is a lot of members showing one or multiple snowstorms in their run. Like it's a crazy mean to see this far out. It's a crazy mean to see that, and I'm beyond intrigued to see how this plays out. I mean, a 3.5 inch mean in Atlanta, guys, like from January 3rd to 12th on the EPS. That's absurd. There's no other way to put it. It's ridiculous. And just look at the widespread too. Look how much of a country, if we really slide this out here, if we slide this out to the United States of America, sorry, Canada, I like to think of it as the greatest country. But this whole area here of 2 inch plus snowfall, look at that. I mean, and this whole area here of 5 to 8 inch snow, absurd. That's an absurd snowfall. So you got to know how to interpret. So this is not the same as a snowfall forecast. It's all the members here. I chose this 10-day time frame because this is when it starts getting into action here. This 10-day time frame here, where storms are possible. We're looking at it start to kick into action here, the pattern. So this 10-day time frame that I look at, and this is where things get interesting. I chose this time frame. You can choose it 4, 5, 7, 10. So over the course of this 10 days, out of all the ensemble members in the Euro, which is about 50, it's saying that this is the average snowfall at 10-to-1 ratio of all of these. And remember, since we have Arctic air in place, it would probably be more, especially for interior Northeast, especially, and even close to the coast, and maybe even at the coast for people with this system, because this is the kind of pattern where if you're not seeing snow, it means you're warmer at the mid-level. So you're not going to be warm. You're not going to be too warm at the surface. In this, it would be because of an upper level track. And that's why the Northeast has a little bit margin for error than the Mid-Atlantic, especially here, I would say, to get higher ceiling systems. Let's see, is the GFS gonna do its thing. I just want to take a quick peek out of genuine curiosity. Is it? Oh, just missed. Just misses here. Just misses. Close, not close enough. Makes the coastal Carolinas and Florida happy with ocean effect snow. Oh, will it? Yeah, it would be close. This is a convective feedback thing a little bit too. I mean, yes, you have that confluence piece pressing here, but it'd be close. It'd be close. It'd be close on that. But yeah, that's that kind of that general. The GEFS is coming out, so we'll peek at that as well. But what I want to show you is all these ensemble members here. All these ensemble members here, and then we can we'll get into questions, all whatever you got, and I'll scroll through and look through to see what you guys got. But if you're on YouTube, if you don't mind hitting that like button, it really does help me out a lot out here on YouTube. I didn't think I would. I really did never do this to make a buck, but I'm actually very close to being able to do that on YouTube now. But it's really, guys, I just love doing the passion for weather. It's really just forecasting. So that's really what this comes down to. But on YouTube, we're growing and it's fun. So a chance to make a little bit of a living off it. So it is exciting what's going to be going on here. And I just really like interacting with all you guys. It's a proud community of weather weenies. That's an awesome thing in my opinion. So I'll slide here. You can't see crap with that. So sorry if you live in this kind of the south, but we'll use the northeast because it's harder to zoom in. But this is just the EPS 12Z, all these runs here. Look, that's that January 6th, 7th time frame that we were kind of peaking on maybe. And this is like the GEFS time frame here, the GFS, that 8th to 9th time frame. You can see a lot of. This is another potential where storm might happen. Then after that, then you start seeing them roll through just a bunch of East Coast hits that start rolling through here through the Mid-Atlantic and into the Northeast. I mean, when you start seeing these are 6-hour increments. So imagine your regular model run of a P-type map, but just straight snow. This is only snow that this is measuring. And the same thing. 26 through 50 were even more exciting. Oh, that's total snowfall. Yeah, look at that. A lot of, I know it's hard to see a little bit, but 6-hour total increments here. Slide back. And notice just a bunch. Again, there's that 6th, 7th time frame kind of. Notice a lot of those members are a little bit, there's not a lot of higher ceiling as expected, likely still a little bit too fast with the flow. But then we start getting to that 8th time frame, 8th and 9th. Notice there's now those hits start rolling in there on the EPS, a lot of big hits. And then after that, you can see there's some ones that slide up the East Coast too that could have some potential as well on the EPS there. And then the GFS, we slide to the GEFS here at 18Z. If we go back, I mean, there was a ridiculous amount of hits, and we're starting to get the OZ to roll out, but 30 members on the GEFS here. We have about 50 something on the Euro, 51 if you include the control. But look how the hits start rolling in here on that 8th time frame into the 9th. You start getting some pretty significant hits. A lot of them showing a big snowstorm. And if they don't on that, then they do after. If that time frame does end up being a little too suppressed, the one after that becomes more amplified. So there's just an opportunity for a lot of people to cash in, because if you don't cash in on this one, you'll have a chance to cash in on the next one. And then after that as well. So we start locking in a consistent pattern here, all the members, and it's ridiculous. You can only find a few that don't show any snow in this time frame out of 30 members. It's about 90% of the members showing. It's like at least an inch of snowfall in this time frame for the Northeast, in particular New England too, sir. And in the Mid-Atlantic, it's kind of the same as well. It's hard to find. So this, when I look at this, it's like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. It's ridiculous how many members are showing at least one significant snowstorm. Curious. Let me look at that. See if we'll let the GEFS roll out. We'll keep the Euro and so close. So close. I would suspect some convective feedback issues too, even though that polar vortexes and confluence too as well. But I'm kind of getting pressed on here a little bit too much. Close. But still, you get your southern snow there in that scenario, so you're gonna get more people to cash in. All right, let's answer some questions here. Let's answer some questions. Let me get the OZ GEFS. Let me slide to where am I gonna go here? First, I'm gonna zoom the heck out. Start dropping your questions in. Let's answer. So we're gonna go to North America. We're gonna go to upper levels, and we're going to 500 heights. Always going to look at 500 first. Z, 0Z. Still see we're rolling out here. A little behind, actually. A little farther behind than I expect. Yeah, I guess. Yes, Christmas Eve snow was very nice, too. That was very nice. Yes, the 0Z GFS Twisted was very, very good. Was another big hit, like 18Z. Yes, Jaybird, bomb of the GFS. Wasn't tracking weather back then, but saw meteors. He hasn't seen snowfall means that high since 2010, 2011. Yes, we had a lot of good winters in the early 2010s. In the medium range, haven't seen one since 2022 yet. It's possible. Can DC cash in on some snow here in the mid-Atlantic? Yes, as we've mentioned, DC that very much does have a pretty decent shot here to get some snow for sure. More than that play, even for coastal plain, 10-to-1 ratio. You think it's too low? Temps in the 20s. Well, it's hard to say exactly. I wouldn't go as far to say exactly what temperatures will be yet, Jack. We're still way too far out, but the general theme is we will have consistent below average temperatures, likely near average, below average temperatures for a consistent period of time here, with a storm track favoring the eastern U.S. and the southeastern U.S. too, potentially as well, depending on how this evolves. Ken says, fingers crossed for Virginia Beach. Where am I located? Asks Carl. I'm located in Massachusetts. Yes, we did have some technical difficulties, so I do apologize for that. That was kind of a little bit out of my control, but it is my stream setup, so I take responsibility for that. But yeah, this is kind of, if you really want to break this GFS down, we can. Let's see, we slide here to 700. I mean, that's a death ban if I've ever seen it before. 700 low kind of comes on top, a little bit more than I would prefer to coastal regions, but there's your death ban there on 700. Stronger than ever. And then there's that next system. Just barely miss out on it, but it's a long range GFS run, so you take it with a grain of salt. GEFS are taking sweet time on the GEFS. Come on, baby, let it roll out. Still stuck on 156 on the heights. And then Euro AI was kind of slide to In the medium range, I'm pretty curious to see how I guess this is long range, but as we start moving close here, I'm curious to see what the Euro AI kind of does here. It's still kind of holding on to this sixth time frame more than others, and then you can see it kind of comes in like the ninth with that system, and a little bit late with the 11th. So there's going to be just a lot of different storm time frames to keep an eye on here. A lot of them. Yeah, you can see the Euro AI shows that ninth time frame. Maybe it could be a sixth time frame potentially for some snow. I wonder, does the GFS show any? You know, ads trying to sneak in too many on me. Go back to 500. Let me see here. Ensemble mean of 3 inches in Atlanta might be the craziest thing. Yes, that's a very high long range ensemble mean for the EPSER shows 4.5 for Boston. Yeah, I mean it's just an operational. I could give two what's about a long range model snowfall map. To be honest, guys, I really don't care. I mean, it's great to see the high totals. Don't get me wrong; it's always fun, but everything always comes back to 500 volts for me. That's kind of where it gets what's centered around. It's just to me 500 volts the greatest in my opinion. It's the greatest tool for me to use. I think 250 millibar jet is another great tool that we don't bring a lot on here because it's more complicated to show for you guys as well. And I've gotten it's better. I'm better at explaining 500 as well than I am 250, but we will try to do more 250 going forward. 250 jet, but keep an eye on this time frame. GFS kind of loses that sixth time frame on this run, but again, that 8th to 9th kind of time frame here could be something to watch out. Here. I mean, that'd be an absolute bomb. And 958. I mean, Jesus. Yes, very fun to look at. Fun to look at, not to eat. Fun to look at, not to eat. Oh, that's pretty cool. I didn't know I could do that. How did I do that? That was cool. But yeah, that is a bomb of a run. That's an absolute bomb. And you can see the system start to slow to and wrap up. I mean, that's exactly what you want to see. You want to be able to get a system to slow down and wrap up. And you're gonna have that. You're gonna have that potential here in this time frame, for sure. We're going to increasingly confident that there's going to be a pattern that holds cold air in place with eastern U.S. storm tracks consistently. I don't know. We haven't been able to say that in years, and this could persist for weeks too. It really is. It's a loaded pattern. I mean, that's the best way I can phrase it. It's a loaded pattern with opportunities. Because if you don't get one, you might be able to get the next one. Not to play hooky a little bit, but they're coming. They're coming. You just gotta be patient. You just gotta be patient here. Things will kind of work themselves out. But again, patience is key. Patience is key, very much so. I do apologize for the technical difficulties in the beginning as well. We were in peak stream too. Peak stream and kind of hit the fan. But let me see the panels here. Let me go to the United States. I mean, what has taken the GEFS so long here? I mean, the panels are way out ahead of the 16 hours. They're usually behind the 500 millibar height. You think it ends last week of January, says Jack. Yeah, I don't know if I have I don't have a clear idea yet of kind of how this eventually ends, but hello, Boy Reacts. How are we doing? January is going to be a wild month, says Kevin. Yes, I do believe. I do believe January is going to be. I believe I'm going to be very busy and happy. I'm going to be pretty busy upcoming here. Yes, hello, Boy Reacts again. Jack says, can't believe people are saying it's a cold and bone dry pattern. I mean, people are entitled to their opinion. Doesn't make them right. I'm not really all for knowing and disagreeing with people on here. It's just not worth it, to be honest, to go out of my way to consistently try to correct people with my thoughts. I'm not really either insecure enough with what I'm doing with my forecasting, or really care enough to spend that much time to go out of my way to do that. Pretty much, I like to stick to the replies for the most part in my stuff. I mean, I still see what everybody says. I just I typically don't comment on their stuff. I don't need to start things. I have my thought process, and people can comment and we can engage in a discussion on this. But once you kind of start crossing that line of just insulting and questioning my methods to get a rise out of me, that's where it's like, okay, my bad. We can either mute or block you now. Yeah, that's kind of what I do, because I have too many positive people on here for me to put my attention onto those people, and it gets tiring. So we like to focus on you guys in here right now that generally enjoy the content and want to hear what I have to say. I don't know why you guys want to hear what I have to say. I'm not that special, but I've kind of seemed to develop something here, and we're gonna ride the wave. Kind of, that's how we're gonna do. I really don't have a lot of expectations with how this played out. I have zero expectations. I don't have a lot riding on it, but I just enjoy this. I enjoy breaking this stuff down for you all, and I'm gonna break it down anyway. So I'm like, all right, I guess I'll start. I started with a phone and an iPad. I started with a phone. I would record and I would video my screen, and then yeah, that's kind of how it started. Then I would start screen recording videos. Um, we got Restream a few years ago and started doing it off the Mac. Now I might be getting a mini PC soon, so that will be exciting. But I just really enjoy forecasting this stuff, and trying to get better as a forecaster too. Do I have another job? Yes, being myself. That is the biggest job in the world I have. No, I don't really get into. I don't really get into anything outside weather. Um, I pretty much stick to just weather for the most part. Eventually, maybe we may branch out. Maybe eventually, but I don't really get into anything personal. I like separating that, pretty well, because, eventually, maybe, maybe people will start to just will find out my secret identity one day. It's not that secret. It's not that crazy, but maybe people will, know, we'll find out one day. Maybe I'll reveal it. Maybe I won't someday. But I like to separate that because it makes it easier for me to have that balance, so I can kind of come on here, just focus on weather, and not have to cross the two when I don't want to. It makes it a lot easier for me to separate. That weather is not my identity; it's just part of me that I enjoy. And so when I view it like that, it makes it a lot easier to enjoy the stuff when I do it, because when I'm thinking it all the time a lot, especially in the winter. But I don't make it my end all be all. I have balance. I have other stuff that I enjoy to do that's not weather related. So um, weather's not even my greatest passion, believe it or not. But it is a lot of fun for me to forecast. Let's see where we're at with 500 millibar heights there. Probability of heights. It's interesting. Da, 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 da. Yeah, appreciate it. 183. All right, starting to load out here. Starting to load out here. Not that we're going to get any breaking news or information here on the 500 millibar heights, but let's see now. Especially want to see this euro kind of load out too. Euro should be initialized at least, and it has. Very good. 72, yeah. We'll keep this euro especially too. Hopefully we can get a euro bomb on here. And get a nice little euro bomb. Get some good action. But yeah, you know what you got? We got more questions, comments, and stuff. The growth on here has been fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Can't say enough, about what's gone on here. Up to now 439 subscribers. I mean, we were below 300, just a couple months ago. So we've added like 100 and over 140 subscribers in the last couple months here. So it's been fantastic. The growth here on YouTube. I mean, guys, this is the pattern we've been waiting for, and we're getting. I mean, you can't really ask for a much better January pattern to get here. You can, but let's be realistic. This is a damn good winter pattern that we're getting here. Check back here on the GEFS. Actually, I want to check the graph cast. Euro AI and the GFS graph cast are definitely models that I'm more than curious about here. Pivotal is slow. Graph cast, and the graph cast always runs like 12 hours behind too for whatever reason. Single image. We'll go to a forecast loop. This is 12Z graph cast, so the 18Z won't even come out for another like 2-3 hours. Load. There we go. Kind of has the 6th, and then kind of loads up that trough again for maybe 8th to 10th time frame, maybe. So I'm starting to think now. I keep adjusting on the fly a little bit. It's getting complicated. That it might be like a January 6th-ish minor to moderate snow storm to keep an eye on, and then it might be like sorry for the chair squeak, but then it might be like a Jan, and then after that, it might be like this thing won't stop squeaking, and then it might be like a 8th to 10th time frame, right? 8th to 9th, 8th to 10th time frame right after that, depending on how this plays out. It's a little bit complicated. Now, I will say with the biggest system, to see a lot of long range agreement. It tends to, a lot of times be the case. It's not always the case. There are certain circumstances where that's different, but a lot of times with the when you start to see long range agreements, sorry, that's not a word, agreement, that's when you start to be like, okay, this is where we're now starting to look at for a potential snowstorm. So once we hear inside of like, at least probably I would say like 8, a lot of times they can start sniffing these out. Probably when does the GFS pop here? What was it? 282. So once we get inside like 200 hours, then we can start talking about it as a more stick storm threat. But like I talked about, there's still a lot of energy that needs to be consolidated here. I mean, this is messy. This is more than messy. There's still a lot that needs to be. I don't like how it shrunk on me. Oh, did it? Maybe not. There's still a lot that needs to be consolidated out here. There's just this upper level energy needs to go somewhere, and there's a lot of it. And models are going to do something different every single round. They just will, and that variance, and that's why the ensembles become key here, because over time, and that's when things start to become clearer. like over time, the ensembles will be the average out. So right now, that's why 500 millibar vort can only be used so much, and really an ensemble's 500 millibar vort is not all that helpful most of the time. Now 500 millibar height in ensembles, that is more effective a little bit for a general pattern, but again, you have to know what you're reading it. You have to look at a lot of different factors that come along with that as well. Because if you were to look at this, if that, obviously I know where the height lines are, but a lot of times, typically, you would look at this and be like, ain't that a pretty good setup, Brady? Get your block, you got your block in here, and you have your blue here, right? No, not really, because the cold air doesn't come in until too late. So there's just a lot that still needs to be worked out with models. So don't really get too caught up. That's why I think really specific time frames for storms are just really hard to pin down right now. I'm trying to give an exact time frame, and I'm struggling to do that myself right now as well. It's just very hard to pin down these exact time frames. Where are we at with the GEFS here? Where we at? Alrighty, let's peep here. Continue to see more frame separation here. I think this might start favoring this time frame. Did it? Or no, was I wrong? It's just stronger. It might be just more ingredients too. But I mean, we're not going to see any large scale, massive changes run to run here on ensembles. For the most part, the general idea will continue to remain the same, even this far out with two. There's just so many different members. Yeah, I mean that's real specific, Jack. Get too much, information out of that. It's really less about the exact number with ensemble snowfall, snowfall totals. It sounds kind of stupid, but you kind of gain a feel over time with what's a significant ensemble mean. No, it's never the same as an operational. You can't really compare. I had someone reply, try to compare it. You just really can't compare it to anything else. It's it's just, it is what it is, and you kind of have to have a feel for how you're reading it, and you kind of gain that over time. So I have a much better idea of how to read those now than I did like 5 years ago, for example. Where are we at with the panels here? We go to the United States and we go to panels. Appreciate everyone in the X and YouTube chat too. Keep hitting that like button if you're in YouTube. It's very much appreciated for how we're going to try to expand out there this winter. Get it here. Okay. Starting to come out a little bit. Slowly getting there. Slowly getting there. Where are we at, Euro? Talk to me. if nothing comes out of this, I'd be so serious. John, I would find it very hard. It's hype. Yeah, I mean it's kind of justified though, guys. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, when models are showing consistent winter weather, I mean, what are people? I mean, it just gets talked about more. I mean, some people like actually hype it up, but like reality is like you just forecast what you see. Like, what am I saying? Like, this is not a good, not me specifically, but like, what are you gonna like? This is not a good winter pattern. Like, that's how you talk about it. And people get more excited over seeing snow than not seeing snow as well. So like torch patterns don't get like hyped up like that. It's like not. It's just not the same thing. Euro's really likened to kind of de-amplified it here, but Euro's kind of a mix between Euro's like an amplified GEFS, but it definitely quieted down here from 12Z with this time frame. It might show another massive. This almost wouldn't be a bad solution here, potentially. Ethan says, "Do you think we could see a freeze here in Sunday?" Oh, yeah, I think that's possible. I think it's to wait a little bit, but yeah. Let's see, Boston, CB19, Boston hasn't seen this potential cold snow since 2015, you say. I don't know about that. That is so is such a high standard. 2015. I don't think people understand really how much of a beast that was, what that pattern really is. I know you lived it. 2015 was such a beast. Is Euro far enough to see 8th to 9th? Yeah, we're kind of looking at it right now. Euro kind of views it as a January 6th time frame, basically. Do you care about the P-type map? Yeah, Euro's still trying to. You can see that block, though. It's not really or that. It's trying to push this block here all the way up here, and I doubt this would even match with the ensemble. That'd still be a pretty big snowstorm for a lot of people. But what happened in 2015? That's not a dumb question, Jim. 2015, Boston saw 10 inches of snow. Worcester saw 120 inches of snow. It was just weeks straight. I can give you the dates off the top of the head, and the snowstorms that happened. Oh, your excitement, yeah, that makes more sense. I'm not saying I didn't say you were, but just the general idea. Yeah, I mean, 2015 we had a snowstorm. It was really, I remember this one very well because I remember it like all suddenly models starting to converge. I wasn't following models really yet, but I remember it happening. And in 2015 we had the it was called. I just remember it. I was so sorry, guys. I loved when I was younger. I loved the winter storm names. It was called Iola. I remember it. So I remember drawing the name out in the snow, and it was like it's like a 4 to 8 inch snowstorm across a lot of New England, and it was like 3 to 6 from from eastern PA into northern Jersey and southern Hudson Valley. I think New York City got some snow, and a couple days later, the blizzard of 2015 happened. The one where New York City kind of busted, got like 8 to 10 inches of snow, and Boston to Worcester saw 2 to 3 feet of snow. And then after that, the Super Bowl, the storm after the Patriots won the Super Bowl, February 1st, there was another snowstorm. It was like another 12, like 1 to 2 footer kind of. And then there was another snowstorm, I think 8 to 9th. That was like a blockbuster for New England. And then the 15th was the Thunder Snow Cantori. And that was another widespread, like 8 to 16 with a pocket of like 16 to 24 inches. So that pattern was really an incredible stretch there. And then even into March, there was, I think, another snowstorm during that time. So that was a crazy, crazy kind of pattern there. Euro's trying to really, if we slide this here, this is 220. This doesn't even match the ensemble here. We slide to the east. Let me slide this here. Doesn't quite match. Not even the ensembles. You can see. Yeah, it's different. High pressure, the location of the ridge. Yeah, it's most definitely not quite the same for sure. And that's kind of the difference you see at the Euro. And the Euro still, I mean, that makes that 6th to 7th kind of still in that time frame there. This would, I guess, kind of be the most amplified solution, I guess you could say, for this time frame. Slide here. Yeah, and that was the greatest winter too that I've seen. I mean, it's the most snow Boston's ever recorded. So, I mean, there's been no greater winter. Same, just kind of where I live, basically. We haven't had a storm of over 4 inches since 2021. It would be nice to get a foot plus, says Colin. Yes. Well, that will be in the realm of possibility. I'm assuming you live in southeastern PA, if I had to guess, based on what you said, because basically that's the only pocket that hasn't had that since. But yeah, your opportunity is coming, and the Euro bomb is coming still for the ninth, guys. Euro bomb is still coming here. It's just going to push it to the ninth. So that's kind of what happens here. Is the GFS maybe too? This is kind of an energy thing too, but the Euro is going to bomb out for this run too, guys. So don't worry, you're still going to get your, you kind of get almost a double Euro bomb here, and then I don't know, maybe you get something else to happen after. I'm guessing it would be a little suppressed after this time frame. Is it a lock to snow? No, nothing's ever a lock. Nothing is ever a lock, but it's a damn good pattern for snow, guys. Yes, the Euro bomb is happening. It's a little bit faster than I would prefer. Wraps up a little later than I would like, but it's there. Take a look at the P-type map. There's that first one. It almost tries to cut the thing. Absurd. But then it goes and does that, and that would not be leading either. So that's your best way to get everybody involved, kind of. I mean, it's just easy to start digging the energy like you do here, and you start getting all this convection out ahead of the trough, and you start amplifying it, kind of positively tilted, pressing down with cold air, and it's just a matter of time. So how I phrase it is, I would still keep an eye on that 6th to 7th, 6th to 7th. I think this is where I'm starting now. Keep an eye still on that 6th to 7th frame for something. I think the Euro AI is kind of a good middle between the GFS and the Euro at that time frame. I think Euro is going a little too crazy, to be honest, with that time frame. And models will keep underestimating the blocks too. So that's something to note as well. Models will keep underestimating the blocks. But this time frame after then, so 6th to 7th is kind of, I think, more of a moderate, I would say, ceiling. I think I would lean against anything major happening. I still think the flow be a little bit too fast at that point, and likely not enough digging in the trough for the, you don't have a true 50-50 low quite set up and primed yet. I could be wrong, but I think 6th and 7th, I think you should keep an eye on that, guys, because I think there's the potential for at least snow in that time frame, for at least some. Keep an eye. The Euro goes a little bit crazy with it. I mean, that's really just, it's not able to there's not the block. It really isn't just quite there like it is on a lot of other model runs. But then what it does after with the 9th, 8th and 9th is very much. And what's really suspect about the 6th kind of time frame on the Euro is just it's way too much of a cutter, kind of, almost. That's not really a cutter, but it's just too much of an interior solution for the pattern that's at hand here. This favors more that favors kind of a more suppressed, flatter look, not necessarily for mid-Atlantic, like more clipper-like, basically. And then after this, boom, right here, this time frame, this is where the action goes. I mean, it doesn't get any more schmexy, whatever you want to call it, sexy, whatever you want to call it. That's stay golden, pony boy. You want to peep the 700? You want to get some real? Take a look at that. I would cry tears of joy if that happened. It's literal tears of joy if that happened. I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Remember, models start to sniff these out pretty early on, even in the long range. So is this an actual time frame? Maybe. But this is goddamn somewhere 200 and it's just somewhere between 11 and 12 days out. So I'm not going to really get too far. But this is showing a death band going right over my house. So I'm going to just sit here and just enjoy this. Don't mind me showing a massive band right over here. Beautiful. You love to see it on the Eurobomb. That's graphic, guys. It's rated R. That's a rated R. That's rated R right there, guys. It doesn't get better than that. Just doesn't. That's not sleek either. Not where that 700 band's located. That's not sleek. I'm sorry. You'll see some weird things on some of these model runs in the longer range. Surface temperatures. Look how cold you are. You're 8 degrees and heavy snowing. Single digits and heavily snowing. That's the cold air that you have in place. You want to really geek out here? Look at that. Oh boy. There you go. Enjoy it. You get a 2-foot blizzard from Carolinas to Maine. It's as your old mom as it gets right there. You want to see the GFS too? You really geek out. Oh, and there you go. There's another 2-foot blizzard on the GFS. Sorry for the squeaking. Not bad. Not bad if you ask me. So that's the idea. That's the idea. We're going to move into expect a lot of long range bombs. That's just what's going to happen here. There's no clear storm yet. The earliest storm that I'm watching is kind of that 6th to 7th time frame. And then beyond that, it's kind of the 8th to 9th, 8th to 10th, I would call it. Call it this right here is this time frame. It's pretty. That's starting to become clear here. That's a time frame to keep an eye on. Imagine, yeah, Priest says, imagine what the NAM would show you. We're gonna get some long range NAM. We're gonna get some long range NAM excitement for sure, guys, coming up here. Yeah, CB19, yeah, yes, PS3 gamer. The Euro just went boom, dropped the boom right there. Yeah, they sniff on the long range, but guys, even this would be a little crazy. I mean, we did see it with the last one, but let's think about how different it was that December 20th system. How different that ended up being. It's not the same. It's not even it's the same set. That's not the same setup. But again, these are like, so if we start seeing some consistency here over the next day or two, then I'm like, okay, then maybe this is like a longer range. This is a longer range pattern or a longer range setup that we got to start eyeing down here. Sometimes those longer range ones, you can start tracking them in the 6 to 7 day range. But even then, that's 6-7 days out. It's a crazy amount of time. You guys remember the trend, the northwest trend we did in the last system? Think about what we did there. That was crazy far out. But yeah, pretty beautiful. Pretty beautiful. Can't ask for much more than that. It's 10-1. Son of a, go back. Yeah. It's fun to look at, not to eat yet. Not to eat yet. Doesn't get much more exciting than that though. Just replay it constantly. Manifest it. Let's see here. So the P-type maps get me so hyped. Yes. Get not to eat, ladies and gentlemen. High ratios of that kind. Yeah, it's really is like. Here's the thing too. Like if you get the bomb of a system to happen, it's going to be real cold, and those ratios are going to be like powder, straight powder. Okay. GFS Ensemble should be pretty much completely out. Yep, same time frame. Right here. I mean, that's like that's exactly what it's Meek Mill, Dreams and Nightmares. It really, I mean, I don't know what better way to do it. It's perfect. It's perfect. Really any more perfect than that. I mean, I'm damn near speechless. That's maybe the best ensemble meet I've seen for a mid-Atlantic Northeast snowstorm in years. That far out. That's ridiculous. Yeah, we got to tweet that one out. Sorry. It's a copy image. Paste that. All right, let's look at the Canadian now too, and we'll look at those panel members for the. Yeah, showing it too. Showing it too. It's really a beautiful look. It's not as perfect as the GEFS, but that's I mean, you guys, you couldn't when you print out, guys, like if you were asked to like draw for art class, what a 500 height anomaly, widespread mid-Atlantic Northeast snowstorm looked like, it would be that. It doesn't. It just doesn't. It doesn't really get much better than that. I mean, that's golden. So that's a golden. So this might be the mother. This might be the mother lode here. And in theory, let's just say this gets suppressed. Let's say the year, let's say that January 7th time frame, there ends up being like a decent snowstorm there. That ends up like being underestimated. Let's say it turns into like 6 to 8. Like, let's say it turns into that, and it's a little bit more suppressed. The one that comes in behind it will then be more amplified, and then that one has an opportunity to go big. And then even if you still might have a chance, even with that one, even if you get a big hit here on the 9th, the one that comes in like the 12th or 13th. Like this is I mean, that's it's ugh. Ugh. I mean, guys, it doesn't get much better than that. This doesn't, guys. I'm gonna be so freaking busy. Hey, we need to be in these live streams. Hey, listen, you guys need to be packing these live streams. Come up here. You need to be packing. We're gonna be so busy for the next at least couple weeks here. So busy. You need to be packing these live streams. Packing them. I want to try to start doing YouTube premieres and live streams as well, because we're growing with the those YouTube premieres, those videos actually do pretty well on. And my goal too on YouTube is I know I've said in past years, again, I change, I'm not perfect, but I've said in past years, I know, Ashan, can we just get the janitor? I'm feeling it. Ashan, how we doing, my man? How we doing? Love you, brother. I've said in past years, I don't I'm not going to do that for that kind of stuff. Really, I'm just kind of only for the analysis. But I've had some time on my hands here. I've had some health stuff happen that's kind of put my life on hold a little personally. I will say I won't go into detail, but it's kind of given me an opportunity here to focus on a lot of weather stuff. So it's been a blessing kind of in disguise. And so it's really allowed me to focus on this, a lot of attention and detail to it. And I really think we have a niche here in terms of analysis. Keep throwing those comments in, guys. Don't worry, I'll read them all. Really have a niche here in the analysis that we could be doing on YouTube. If you notice, there's not really a lot of even the analysis that does happen, it's kind of general breakdowns for like the country, break down the model runs a little bit, general ideas. I don't think there's a lot of people on YouTube, especially, that break down and go as in depth, in the way I break down models, in the way I break down storm systems, especially as we get closer. There's just a lot of general themes. I think we have a niche here on YouTube that we can kind of expand a little bit. And so that's why I'm kind of pursuing that. And I think it's a good opportunity for that niche to get exposed. And, it's worked well on X. And, a lot of you guys have enjoyed the content there. So, we've done some multi-stream, just started doing it to YouTube because why not? And then, we kind of built up a base there. And so we're going to keep expanding on YouTube. And I'm going to try to see how can we expand out. It's different a little bit from the other people, but, this is kind of how I think I want to do it. This is my niche here. There's not a perfect flow. There's not a perfect rhythm, but we break down these systems. We go in depth. We cover all the different factors, and we use all the energy that we can, no pun intended, to try to forecast these systems. And I think this is going to be my niche here on YouTube. So I'm going to try to take advantage of that. We do it a bit differently. We break down weather for a lot of people, help understand it in the live streams. I think help with that too. For me, it's like there's not a lot of people that are willing to explain the meteorology and how this stuff works in depth, especially when winter weather forecasting. And I happen to be a decent forecaster, a half decent forecaster at least. And so I can kind of explain the thought process behind that, and I'm capable of breaking down the stuff. So yeah, so this is what we're doing here. We're going to enjoy it. Let's see. This is the mother of all setups. Man, that's textbook. Yes. Give me the pinch part in Blizzard. Yes, I know. It seems like every single golden model has the setup. Canadian only goes out to 240, but yes, the ensembles have the idea. After a couple of boring, mild winters in Boston, let's get insane. Can we just skip to January? Yes. Almost there. My man, 3 more days. We are at vibes. The winter vibes have arrived. We are at all-time. We're at all-time go. Turn it up to the max right now. Jim says Alpha's hyped. Yes, Alpha weather is very much hyped right now. But yeah, let's keep packing these live streams, guys. I really enjoy breaking this stuff down. So let's keep breaking this down until we're blue in the face here. Just make it happen. But then look what happens here. You see how consistent still we keep it. It shifts a little bit for this time frame. It's a little bit farther east than I would enjoy, but notice the height lines start kind of here off the screen. Let's see how this is different. It's a little bit farther. It's a little bit farther, almost to east on this one, but that's because now we're amplifying this one more as well. So that's the difference you see there. But if you could get these height lines to build back in after that January 8th to 9th or 10th, then start things could for like January 10th to 13th. I don't know what you would call it. It's so hard to identify quite yet. But one thing I can say is look at the average mean 540 line here for this time frame. Look at the average 540 mean line here. Look at that. I mean, that was not well drawn. Let me fricker. Look at that. I mean, that's golden. It's hard. I have a big screen though, so my setup is a 34-inch is a 34-inch wide screen here. And I USB it to my Mac. Basically, is how I do it. And so we might be getting a mini PC, so we could run an even smoother operation as well, have less audio issues, have unlimited stream time as well, and not the battery die on me as well. Have to worry about that. January 6th, one before the Big Daddy, says Ashan. So with that time frame, I think the Euro AI is a good in between right now. That's where I would lean. I think there's something there. You got to keep an eye on January 6th. The Euro is I think it's way too over amplified with it. I think it's way too over amplified with it. It just brings the energy too far north to start, and the block doesn't really hold as well. Maybe it's sniffing out something, but there's not really a lot of support with that. Even within the own ensemble, it's not backed up. So if we slide to the Euro AI, vamos, here we go. We go to United States of America, North America, now, and we go to perhaps 500. Notice this is the time frame. So the Euro AI kind of does pick up on that storm system as well. It's hard. The definition will be it will be a little messy on here. So the 500 is not perfect, but I think that's a general decent idea. This is kind of where I land. I think it's a light to moderate snowstorm to keep an eye on. That's where I'll lean in this time. It's still so far out, so things can change a little bit. We still have to wait for January 1st, the second system to move through first, and that system is going to produce interior snow. And keep an eye on some backside light snow there's still a lot of upper level energy that has to come through, and especially there's going to be lake effect snow. So keep an eye on that. Keep an eye for some backside, like it would be probably lighter snow, like maybe some bands work through. It'd be more focused on the interior, but we do have some interior folks in here, and I can claim both kind of. I'm a mid spot in between, so right by Worcester, so I can kind of claim interior and cash in. So that's why I make out okay on a lot of systems, but don't typically max out. So that's kind of the idea. And then after this, I think the Euro AI, I think I'm almost full in on the AI being a legit model to use, and think it's like pretty good actually as well. I'm pretty much there with that, and I think it's a really good in between of everything that's going on as well. Actually, I haven't looked at the Canadian. The Canadian is oftentimes a decent in between as well. So let me look at that. What's it got for this time? Week. Yeah, it's pretty suppressed with the January 6th. It's pretty suppressed. You can see it has a little bit of light snow across, the Midwest and into the South, even a little bit too, and then kind of flakes out. I think it would be in that kind of develops the low pressure a little bit late after that. So I would lean a little bit somewhere in between. I think the Euro AI. I think there's opportunity for a minor to moderate snow event. It's hard to say, how much, but I think that is a general good idea. I feel somewhat confident within that realm, but it's really messy. There's a lot of different solutions that will play out with models just because so much still has to be figured out. I mean, we got to look at these panels, right? go to we hiked, but still a long way out. Yes. Yeah, Sean, we're full 30-inch snowstorm. That's where we're at right now. Yes, definitely. Let me go to panels. We'll go to Northeast. We'll go to Northeast. Go to panels. So this will be a little bit hard for you to see, but kind of almost. So the GEFS is kind of sneaking out the January 6th. It even has a 5th. So I guess you could call it 5th to 7th time frame. Maybe 5th to 7th time frame is what you can maybe call it. Let's see, January 6th. And then it has, some models have a kind of a light, moderate event kind of move through in this time frame. And then the 7th and then the 8th. And you can see the GEFS has it's a fair amount in that one ensemble member 29 sticks out. That's ridiculous. 6 hours showing 2 feet of snow that's a ridiculous model run at 29 there. And then it will show, and then if it doesn't, it will show it like right after. Actually surprised. I thought there would be a few more hits here in this time frame, to be honest. But I mean, you have how many do you have here? You got one. Or just showing the storm. You got one, kind of two, definitely three. It's still kind of loading out here on the panels. Kind of evened out here now. Where are we at with Euro Ensemble? But if we know what, it's okay. You see how that even compares to the let's take out pivotal here. It's killing my battery life here. Go to 500 heights. We can look at, Jack, I'll advise caution. Don't get too caught up on, like uptrends, downtrend, like that kind of terminologies. The general idea, like there's no massive shifts, guys, that are happening every 6 hours right now. There's no massive shifts happening. We're not there. And even if we had a storm, there would be no massive shifts happening in a 6 hour time frame. If we were in the short range, it's not how it works. Right now, we're kind of breaking things down. And even though we're posting every 6 hours, maybe, but it doesn't mean there's anything that's kind of like drastically changing. You bring up a good point for me to bring up. So, but yeah, we can look at the Canadians for sure. What is that time frame? So here's what I love about the Euro ensembles is they come out very quickly. 180. Slide to 180 here. So you can see the difference there. It's definitely not the same support. Notice there's a lot more stream separation, and the blocking is not as prevalent. So the Euro ensemble disagrees with the Euro model itself. It's not significant, but it's a significant difference. Notice how much stronger the trough is. Again, it's an ensemble mean, but when there's so many members overriding kind of that idea, you got to lean to the ensemble there. There's not some support. It's support for a stronger system than the GFS has, but not a strong system by any means to the extent that it has on the operational. Let's see, he's loading out here. I love They're fun, but it also gives I like using them to see how many are showing actual bits here. And look at that. There's that time frame, that 8th to 10th, and you see some more hits start coming in here as well. And so if that one doesn't hit, then it comes in behind it, you know. And then all of a sudden now it's hour 3:42. But then look, you can see the GFS. So like at some point it's showing a major hit this time frame. Ensemble number 29 might be the craziest ensemble I have seen. I mean, ever. That is a ridiculous. 29 is that's a 6-hour increment, by the way. These are 6-hour 10 to 1, and it's showing like dang near 30 inches of snow in a 6-hour time. That's on it. That's maybe the most ridiculous. Again, I don't know if you call it. I mean, yes, some do hype it, but I mean, it's just calling it like it is. What do you? I mean, we're naturally just excited about the pattern because we like snow, and then, I mean, there's great model support, and meteorology supports it even better than the models have at some points. So the stuff is there. I mean, it's backed. So it's not. I mean, I don't know if it's hyping. It's just. It's saying what's gonna happen, like what this pattern, how it's gonna kind of shape out here. This is a high end winter pattern. That's what it is. Whoa, 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 whoa! I like you. There we go. Just zoom past that. Jesus. Look at that. Look at that start to build in there. Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. You love to see it. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. We go to maps. We go to GFS Ensemble, and we compare it. GFS has a little bit more stream separation, honestly. A little bit different of a variation, but it's a damn good look. Same thing we're talking about. I think the Euro is going to shift more to show a lot more hits in that 8th to 10th time frame. I think this Euro ensemble is going to look really schmexy. How does Jim Carrey say it with the lisp? Okay. Oh, Canadian ensemble, like we promised. And how far out is the GEFS too? You can take a look at this. I don't think snowfall mean. I don't know if it'll be as high. Actually, we're kind of still looking at the panels here. Stream separation's not as good down the road here as it was at 18Z. Was it? Hold up. Let me take it back. I think the height lines kind of would have. Wait, I don't want to say it's not true yet. They were building back in, but it's fine. Go to OC. Oof. Still prefer if those height lines. I mean, if those height lines could start building back in now. Now you're talking. I mean, still, I mean, that's That's a little farther off the coast I prefer, but then even after this time frame, it starts getting more and more interesting still. Or not more and more, but continues to be interesting. Canadian ensemble that I said I would look at. And we'll peep the GEFS more. Canadian ensemble, Brady, not. Yeah, we looked at that. That was beautiful. Oh, does it only go out 200, or it's just not loading, or it's stuck at 500 heights? Let me peep here. So, how far out is this? Yeah, it's still not far out there yet. Still kind of loading. Well, let's peep these panels again. Yeah. Yep, some other loads on here. Just kind of still skips to this hour. Whatever. Let's take a look at the apps. I hope we get hit wide stream later because these streams going hit stuff. Yeah. Lloyd. Can I get a yes, Lloyd? Say it with your, stop it. Stomp with your feet. Say it with your chest. I actually like that 12Z a little bit better, to be honest, but yeah, it's still a. I mean, you're losing the height lines. You're pushing consolidated. That's still a beautiful. Your trough is actually sitting deeper, which is beautiful. I know it's okay to be excited. This is what we live for. We love the weather and these big snowstorms. Guys, this is what it takes true sickos to be looking at 11-day to be looking at ensembles 11 days out. It takes true sickos. So embrace it. Embrace your inner crazy. What are we doing? I'm still kind of stuck here. But my man, there are some hits. Yeah, it should. What we dream on here. Let's see how we go. Don't love it. Don't love it. We'll keep here for a couple more minutes. Here's some. I mean, this is what dreams are made of right here. These kind of setups. I gotta change that out. Yeah, I mean, sometimes these models just have delays. See, what are the people saying here? Oh, we did have that tornado outbreak. I took a quick. I was like, could I break? I'm not gonna. With this severe weather. I do weather, but I get more interested in that in the summertime when I get in storm chase. To be honest. See, yeah, the Euro, these things come out. Let's see if we can see the panels. Woof, woof. City. Yeah, that'll do. That will do. It's the 500 look right there. I mean, a lot of models are going to show that 9th and 10th hits on this EPS. Let's look at the. Let me check back in on the panels here on the GEFS. Let me look at the panels on. Oh my God, it's still skipping. GEFS is stuck too. Maybe too many people are using it right now. It's only out to hour 210 on the EPS. Okay. Now let's keep it. Yeah, let's keep it about there. But yeah. So we have I've been asked to do some summaries, even though it's mainly for the videos and not the recap. Let's break this down again. We have a storm. We have the storm here to kind of keep an eye on, for maybe some light snow on the backside here, maybe. So the system moves through here on literally New Year's Day. Will be rain for the most part for a lot of people, but snow on the backside then comes in. Even for the interior, it'll start as rain for many, and then switch to snow in the far interior. That moves through, likely be a weather, then comes into place, and from that point in, we're locked in. Our system, this locks in our cold air here, likely pretty suppressed January 3rd and 4th. Keep an eye maybe for some Midwest and Southern snow. And then as we slide, then we start watching this time frame here. We start watching January 6th, 7th for a light to moderate event. U2 Jack, a light to moderate event here, and then we start watching potentially the 8th to 10th for a significant snowstorm to keep an eye on down the line, and then after that you have to keep an eye on, I would call it 11th, like 10th to 3rd, maybe I would call it. It's it's kind of hard to say. There could be multiple within that, like 8th to 13th time frame is kind of how I would describe it. So there are a couple of systems to keep an eye on maybe down the line here, but that's kind of the general idea. We have consistent cold air locked in place. Consistent cold air locked into place with storm track that are going to favor the eastern U.S. That's the general takeaway that for y'all. Like, this can't be stated enough. I'll take one more look at the panels here, because why not? But that's the general idea that we're looking at, and it's really, I think this is one of the best patterns that I've seen here. And here's that January 6th time frame. You can see, I mean, the Euro's got some hits for sure. couple that are more interior than the others, but not major. Likely not a major snowstorm. Maybe significant, but winter. But yeah, that's that first. I think that's the first time frame to keep an eye on there for spread in the Northeast. Maybe some Mid Atlantic too. Keep an eye on that January. I'd say 5th time frame. And then January kind of 8th to 10th, and then January 10th to 13th, maybe for another one. It's a little bit hard to say. Again, it's tricky with how models are consolidating energy right now, but stay tuned. Keep an eye on this. We'll see. Continue to see how this kind of plays out here. This is it's just a great. It's a real great winter pattern. That's how we can put it. You don't need to hype it up any more or less. It's a very good winter. Eastern U.S. and in particular the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast, and have the opportunity not only to see snow, but show significant snowstorms as well down the line here. And that's I think the general theme that is more than plausible. More than plausible here. There we go. Starting to load out here on that, but you can see. So you got to keep that as a possible time frame for snow as well. And be cold snow too is the thing. So high ratio potential with this as well. So before I die out here on Mac, I apologize for the technical difficulties in the beginning there, but if y'all can leave a like on your way out if you haven't already. I appreciate everybody that came in. We had a ton of people on X. I appreciate all of you that came in on YouTube. But until then, we're gonna be busy. Can't guarantee we'll live stream tomorrow night, but I will post a YouTube premiere if not. So we're gonna be active here and busy. So appreciate all of you that came in. Hope you all have a great night.